ladies and gentlemen. This is Justin.
And Max Games.
And we're going to be doing a review of the game
Gloria Mundi.
Now, Gloria Mundi, guess how old it is?
As old as me.
It's as old as Max. It came out in 2006. So you didn't play it when it first came out.
No.
I found a website that sells used games, and some of them can be older. And some of these older games that are like out of print and no one has them, they're really expensive. But some of them are like $6, $7.
This is like $6, $7?
Yeah, and it was used. It's, you notice it's a little busted up and stuff like that. But the game components were A-okay. And I'll put a link to where that store is. I'm not advertising for them or anything.
The link will be right here.
In the comments below.
Not up here. It'll be right down there in the description.
Exactly. Anyway, it was in perfect condition, and this game has gotten a tremendous amount of hate. And at first, when I was reading why it was getting a lot of hate, because the things that you spend so much time trying to build up and end up getting destroyed. And this is the interesting thing in this game, is that the things that you do often get destroyed. The theme of the game is that this is sort of the aristocracy is trying to run away from Rome at the end of the era, and the Gauls or something are coming through, and you're building these buildings and paying tribute and staving off the enemy while you try to run away to Carthage. Before we continue, I just want to say that this video is dedicated to, so far, our #1 fan, most comments, is Tim
Tigan.
And I believe that's the way we pronounce his name. It could be Tegan, but if it was a German name, Tim Tigan. So thank you for all of the comments and views. It's been great getting to know you and your gameplay. Hopefully more people will be commenting and get to know more people.
And if you comment a lot, you might get a shout out.
Yeah, your shout out, exactly. I played this 2 players with Mom, and and she won, and I thought it was okay. And I was like, yeah. Then this evening, we played it 3 players. I thought it was way better. Way better.
But you didn't think it was quite great.
I know, it's not a great game. It's not a great game, but it was way more interesting. You talk about a little bit of the things you think about the game, too.
It's not my favorite game.
Yeah.
For me, it feels a little repetitive.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's just like, play a card, ooh, build a card, it gets destroyed, play a card, play a card, play a card.
Now, he won, barely. To me, it's more of a psychological game. The issue is, to me, the psychological issue of this game is that you can decide on your turn if you're going to pay tribute to the Gaul or not. And if you don't...
You have to, calculate how, if you lose 2 buildings, but if you already have one of them, then you only lose 1, and then calculate, he will lose 2 buildings, one of which is going to be his good one. She's going to lose 3 buildings, so I only lose 1 bad building for them to lose more stuff to give you an edge.
You got this right. It's calculating when it's to your advantage to let the guy rampage, and you get some of the resources back, and you get first choice. The issue is, in the second game that I played, the 3-player, I totally miscalculated when to allow the guy.
It's I'll allow him to pass, but you decided to spend it all on this one building that ended up getting destroyed along with 4 others.
Yeah, it totally knocked me out. The art in the game, and I'll show some pictures of what the board looks like, is a little bit confusing in that they show you this big map of Italy with this winding road and trying to keep track of where you are and where he is. It was
funny.
Yeah.
Because of if it was the Gauls or whatever trying to invade, I'm that's a terrible path to Rome. it's like if point A and point B, he goes
And it's to make it's 38 steps from
the Gauls to Rome, and 38 from Rome to
Carthage. And the game has a lot of different end game conditions. One is if the building deck empties, and I can't see that happening. It would be ridiculous. Another one which could happen is if you run out of cards.
Is it only possible if everyone builds once on all of their turns?
In a 6-player game, maybe. because this plays up to 6, and everyone recommends do not play it at 6.
That would be
It would be too long. 3 was really interesting.
I want to see what 4 looks like.
Yeah, maybe 4 would be possible too. And also, on Board Game Geek, there were some people that gave comments that even the designers agreed were fixes for the game, because in the rules it says you start with only 3 resources.
One of each.
One of each, a piece, a farm, food.
A white, a gold, and a green.
Right, yeah, exactly.
And so the variant was to start with 3 of each, so that the beginning doesn't take forever to start going.
Because the building costs are extraordinarily high. You're not building every single turn, typically speaking.
Another fix for that, to only start with the 3, but then still be able to compete, is have there be a separate deck that costs less that you just put on top.
You know, what Max just mentioned, the idea that there's less expensive things to do early in the game, and then it increases as the game goes along, when you can build up. That was something that someone else mentioned could be a fix for the game, but in a game like Phalanx, which is an excellent game...
There's 3 different decks.
Yep, 3 decks.
The first deck is super cheap, the second deck is more expensive, and the third deck is like all the attacks and stuff.
Right. And this I could see Gloria Mundi, if they ever decided to redo this game and reprint it and maybe fix some of the things, is maybe have a series of decks where the things that are somewhat affordable come out early, and then it increases from there. Because otherwise you're in a situation where sometimes the really good buildings that that would be good for my strategy, they come out early, you ain't got them.
It's like the first 3 cards that came up for us all costed purple.
No one had purple, because that's...
Unless we start with a purple.
That could be also another fix. See, that's the thing about a game like this. It's... in terms of like the extraordinarily great board games that have come out in the last decade or so, this is right before that era, and I think maybe it was not as tested as it could have been. The art is interesting. You notice that all of the paintings...
all like cracking. What I mentioned it as is a poorly restored painting.
Yes.
Or a painting before its restoration. Like it was cleaned but not restored.
And it's the idea is...
It represents the crumbling of Rome.
The crumbling of Rome, the decline. And that's an interesting thing. One thing that I don't like about Roman-era games, and people constantly do this, game designers think, oh, it's so clever, is using the words from that era with the U being a V, and you don't know what they mean.
Because, like, if you don't know what they mean, it's like, you just completely overlook it.
Yeah, the boat card comes out and it has these words on top, and you're like, well, I don't know what that means.
It's like, I don't know what that means. I'm not going to want that card.
Yeah,
I'm not even paying attention.
You don't connect. You don't pay attention. You don't connect with it. I think that's a big mistake.
It's basically like looking at all the cards like this.
I mean, even the city cards, it just says city on top. Instead, it's herbs, and then the U is a V, and you're like, oh, I'm tired of that.
That's herbs? I
thought
it was verb.
No, it's
like, I'm going to build a verb to give me a goal.
It's because they used they chiseled in the walls, so they couldn't do something that was like a U.
Okay.
Yeah.
But anyway.
My
rating is a 6.
Your rating is 6. I'm going to say one more thing about the game.
One more thing.
And I really like this idea that you first have to you build your land by playing a card, and then you want to build a building on top of that. And then when someone else plays a card of the same type, you could either decide to activate your building or the card underneath it. That to me was very unique, and the destroying was very unique. You're rating it at a 6.
Yeah.
I'm actually, after the second play, I'm at a 7.5. And
that would be a 6.75.
6.75 to me is a fair rating for the game.
Official.
Indoor rating.
The official indoor rating.
Because it's too rainy out today.
The official indoor rating of Justin and Max.
For Gloria Mundi. We didn't even notice this, but Max noticed this as we were putting the game away. That you have the guy and he's like, oh, all happy, and he's gotten flute players and all this, but in the backgrounds, the cities are burning, so the Gauls are coming, and this guy still pretends that everything's okay.
Which is what we're doing in the game.
Right. I think that's a pretty neat little addition.